Okay, so today we're diving deep right into the heart of blockchain, crypto, and data security. A user's guide.
A user's guide, yeah.
It's a big topic, I know. I mean, there's so much buzz around all of this. It could feel pretty overwhelming.
Yeah.
But honestly, I think most of us are curious about where all of this could be taking us.
Yeah.
So our mission today is to cut through all of that hype, all of the noise, and help you really understand what blockchain and cryptocurrency are all about.
Right.
And not only that, how to navigate it all safely and smartly. Where do we even begin with all of this?
Well, I think it's safe to say that our listeners probably already have a good grasp of the basics. Like, what is blockchain? What is crypto? That kind of thing. So I think what's even more interesting is, thinking about the implications, right? Yeah. Thinking bigger. This isn't just about like faster transactions or whatever.
Right.
It's a potential paradigm shift.
That's what I find so fascinating about it, is like we hear blockchain and we instantly think Bitcoin. And it is, it's a huge part of it.
It is.
But we're talking decentralized systems, which, correct me if I'm wrong, go way beyond just finance.
Oh, absolutely. You're spot on. We're talking about, things like supply chain transparency, making voting systems more secure, even individuals having control over their own medical data.
Wow.
I mean, those are just a few examples. At its core, this is really about power and how it's distributed.
Right, who has the control, yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, so that makes sense in terms of why we should care, like why this is important.
Yeah.
But the guide also goes into these different types of blockchains. And to be honest, that's where it got a little bit complex for me.
Okay.
So can you sort of break that down for us a little bit?
Sure. So it's important to remember that, it's not a one-size-fits-all kind of thing. There are different types of blockchains for different use cases.
Okay.
So you've got your public blockchains. These are ones that are open to anybody. Like Bitcoin and Ethereum would be examples of public blockchains.
Okay, so anybody can join those networks.
Exactly.
Okay.
Then you've got, on the other end of the spectrum, you've got private blockchains.
Private.
These are the ones that are typically used by a single organization.
Okay.
For managing internal processes,
Got it.
And then somewhere in between, you've got what are called consortium blockchains.
Consortium, okay.
Where you have multiple organizations that collaborate and kind of share control of the network.
Interesting.
So each of these types of blockchain, has its pros and cons.
Right.
When it comes to things like security, speed of transactions, who has control.
So you have to choose the right blockchain for what you're trying to achieve, essentially.
Precisely.
It's not as simple as just saying blockchain good, traditional systems bad.
No, not at all. It's much more nuanced than that.
Okay.
And that's where understanding the trade-offs becomes really important.
Okay, so tell me more about that, about the trade-offs. I mean, are there any specific examples that come to mind?
Sure. So, let's think about a public blockchain like Bitcoin.
Okay.
One of its biggest advantages is its transparency. Anybody can see the transaction history.
Right.
But that can also be a drawback, right? Because it means that reaching consensus on transactions can take a little bit longer.
I see. So that transparency comes at a cost.
Exactly.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
This whole conversation about the potential and the sort of the pluses and minuses, it really reminds me of the early days of the internet.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there was so much promise.
Right.
But also a lot of people were skeptical. Do you think blockchain has the potential to be similarly transformative?
I do, yeah. I really do.
Wow.
I think it does. But the early days of the internet, it's still kind of the Wild West out there.
Yeah.
There's all this innovation happening so quickly.
And moving so fast.
It really is. But that also means that there are plenty of risks, especially when it comes to cryptocurrency.
Yeah, I feel like I'm hearing more and more stories about people getting scammed.
Oh, yeah. It's a big problem.
It's a huge problem. And you're not kidding about the risks. I mean, I remember last year, I almost fell for one of those crypto scams.
Wow.
Yeah, it was like a classic too good to be true kind of project.
Yeah.
Luckily, I did my research.
Yeah.
And I realized what was going on before it was too late.
That's good.
But it was a close call.
Yeah.
And the guide stresses how important it is to be aware of these scams, doesn't it?
Well, absolutely. Yeah. And it really emphasizes that your first line of defense is understanding how to secure your assets.
Right. Right from the start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just like we talked about there being different types of blockchain, right?
Yeah.
Well, the same applies to wallets. You've got your hot wallets and your cold wallets.
Okay.
Hot wallets are more convenient, right? They're connected to the internet, so it's easy to make transactions,
Right.
But they're also more vulnerable to hacking.
Oh, I see.
Whereas cold wallets are like offline storage.
Yeah.
So they offer an extra layer of security.
Okay, so it's like choosing the right tool for the job, just like with the blockchains themselves.
Exactly.
Exactly. So besides choosing the right wallet, what else should people keep in mind when it comes to, just navigating this space safely?
Well, I think one of the most important things is sticking to reputable exchanges.
Okay.
Platforms like Binance, Coinbase, Kraken, those kinds of places.
So the well-known ones.
Yeah, exactly. They have well-established security measures in place.
Okay, makes sense.
And then, and this is a big one, never underestimate the power of two-factor authentication.
2FA.
2FA, yeah. It's a simple step, but it adds a significant layer of protection to your accounts.
Right, so you're not just relying on a password.
Exactly.
Okay. What else?
And of course, we have to mention the golden rule. Never, ever, ever share your private keys.
With anyone?
With anyone. Those are like the keys to your digital kingdom.
Right.
If somebody gets hold of those, they have access to your crypto.
It's gone.
It's gone, yeah.
Okay, so that's something really important to remember. I feel like we've covered so much already. I'm wondering, even with all of this information, even if someone's using the right tools and taking all the right precautions, how can they continue to learn and stay ahead of the curve? I mean, this is an area that is evolving so quickly.
Yeah.
What would you recommend?
Well, I think the most important thing is to cultivate what I like to call informed skepticism.
Informed skepticism. I like that.
Yeah.
So basically, don't believe everything you read.
Exactly. Don't take anything at face value. Do your own research, dig a little deeper, and really think critically about the information you're consuming.
Are there any specific resources that you would recommend to people?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. There are some really excellent websites out there like CoinDesk,
Okay, yeah, I've heard of that.
Cointelegraph,
Okay,
newsletters like The Block.
okay,
Those are great sources for staying up to date
right.
on the latest news and trends. And then there are even communities on platforms like Reddit, where you can engage directly with experts and enthusiasts.
So kind of tap into the collective wisdom of the crowd.
Exactly.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Well, I think we've covered a lot of ground today. It's been a fascinating conversation.
It has.
To kind of wrap things up, what are the biggest takeaways that our listeners should walk away with today?
Well, I think the biggest takeaway is that we're in the midst of, what could be a truly revolutionary technology.
Yeah.
Blockchain and cryptocurrency are already changing the way we think about finance, about data, about control.
Absolutely.
So it's not just about understanding the tech itself, it's about understanding these broader implications.
Right.
And it's also, as we've been talking about understanding the risks and the benefits.
And approaching it all with an informed and cautious mindset.
Exactly.
It's about empowering yourself, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is.
Empowering yourself with the knowledge and, staying ahead of the curve.
That's right.
I think maybe even a question that our listeners could ask themselves is, what role do I want to play in all of this?
That's a good question.
In this digital revolution?
Yeah.
There's something to think about, isn't it?
It is, because the landscape is definitely shifting.
Yeah.
And it's the people who understand these technologies who are going to be the ones shaping the future.
Right. It's about being an active participant.
Yeah.
Not just a passive observer.
Exactly.
So much to think about. Thanks for diving deep with us today.
My pleasure.
And until next time, keep exploring.
Keep learning.
Knowledge is power.
It really is.
Especially in this new digital era.